And we have this little guy that's visiting this morning.
Here's another visitor that we have.
No big critters getting in there.
All right, I'm in the crawl space now. I just came in the door. The door is behind me, and I'm going to go around clockwise. And what I'm looking for is discoloration on the joist and the woodwork. We're trying to determine the scope of treatment. Okay, right here as you come in the door, you can see the white discoloration here. It does smear. I'm going to pull down the insulation right here in this area and see if it is gone, if it has traveled up underneath the insulation. And this is looking back towards the center beam right as you come in the crawl door. Okay, what I did is I pulled the insulation down right here, and there's the crawl door. You can see the discoloration goes to right here, and then it does not appear to travel up underneath the insulation. So it's my hope that we can do a treatment without having to remove the insulation. Okay, and what on the wall here, this looks like moisture, but actually it's not. It's the slime from the snails. So that's also an indication of a moisture as well. And you can feel the moisture in the air. Okay, I haven't made it back too far, but there's the crawl door right there. Whoops. There's a crawl door right there, so I'm not very far up in here. And there's more of the discoloration there. But again, I'm going to pull the insulation down and see how bad it looks up underneath the insulation. Okay, this is pulling the insulation down. You can see exactly where the insulation is. And you can see that the mold stops right there. So I'm just curious as to whether it's necessary to pull the insulation down or not. Okay, and I'm underneath the center beam right now. You can see, if you're looking for it, you can see some of that white discoloration on the joist. And this is looking up towards the front of the house. I've poked my screwdriver in a couple places. I haven't found anything rotten. And just to reiterate what I had said before, is you've got a whole bunch of this Quest pipe and a whole bunch of these Quest fittings. The pipe is okay, but the fittings will go. There's, lots of class action lawsuits and stuff like that. So you should plan on, when you can afford to do it, replace as much of the Quest pipe and fittings that you can get to. It will save you thousands. Okay, and I'm working my way to the front of the house, and there's still some discoloration here, although it's not anywhere near as bad. So the worst that I saw was right there by the crawl door, and it seems like the further away you get, the less severe it seems to be. Now here we have a puddle of standing water. I don't know where it's coming from. I would assume that it has something to do with this pipe right here. That's the main sewer line coming out, and that's probably the low point. So I'm kind of following the trail. There's some stuff there that you can see that's probably making little riverets, probably from condensation, and then it's working its way down here and forming a puddle. That's what it looks like based on the residue from getting wet and then drying out. It may not be a plumbing leak. It might be condensation. Looking at the joints right there, that joint is kind of suspect. Maybe the joints are leaking, I don't know. This is the area where the standing water is, and there's a major plumbing connection there. Kathy's got the water running in the house, so we got a lot of water flowing through the pipe, so I'm trying to see if there's going to be a leak, and I'll come back to this in a few minutes to see if it's wet. Okay, so I am up near the front of the house now. You can see the end of the joist and everything like that. And this is consistent with everything else that I've seen, is that the discoloration is here. It's not as heavy here as it is near the crawl door, and it is not up here where the insulation was. I am up near the front porch now, and I'm seeing, pretty much the same thing. I'm seeing up in here, the discoloration is on the joist that's exposed. If you go up where the insulation is, it's not. Same thing. Okay, still up near the front porch. You can see the crawl door there for reference. And there's a different type of discoloration here. It's more of a brown or a beige, and it also smears. So that's something different entirely. I'm still on the front of the house. I'm up near the front left. I am noticing on the foundation walls that the house has been treated for termites in the past, as noted by the holes that are drilled in the cinder block. There's a wire that's just laying on the ground. That ought to be tacked to the joist. It's just not safe. I'm near the dryer vent, and there's a place here that is wet to the touch. It's not standing water, but it is wet to the touch. I think if the humidity levels were lowered, then you wouldn't have that dripping condensation. You can see right here one of those little riverets, and it just follows it down, and it'll go to a low spot, and then there's your standing water. So that tells me that is coming from condensation that is forming on the ductwork and dripping, and then just letting physics carry it to a low spot. So if we dry the crawl space out, that should go away. It's very minor, but there's a joint right here where the pipe is joined, and it's taped together, and the tape seal is failed on the top. No big deal. But it is good to see that the dryer vent is hard pipe. That's good. And I'm getting over near the kitchen area now, where we have done a lot of work already, so I'm not going to spend any time in here. But I am going to go peek my head in underneath the Florida room. Just an observation, I haven't put any instrumentation on this, but the air feels drier over here underneath the kitchen area for whatever reason. This is the area underneath the Florida room, and it hasn't been very long since we went through here and installed a bunch of insulation. And I'm noticing, I can see the new insulation, which is pink, and the old insulation, which is yellow. And there's no vapor barrier in here, and I've noticed that the insulation is starting to come down already in places. But the access here is very tight. I couldn't do it. I could get somebody to do it, but it's just too tight for me to get up in there. That kind of looks like it might be due to a mouse or something like that getting in there, and you can see where they made their little tunnels and nests. And as far as discoloration goes, I am really not seeing a lot of discoloration here at all, just very minor, if anything at all. So, but the insulation is in such bad shape, the old insulation is in such bad shape, that we probably ought to finish replacing the insulation that was out here originally and replace it with new insulation, and then areas of the new insulation that have come down due to mice or something making a nest, just go ahead and cut those out and replace those at the same time. But that's not the whole house.